a family pack was $10, it's now $20. We got to get a little bit of assistance from these individuals, these markets.
We still have a way to go as it pertains to grocery store pricing, and there's a number of external factors that are impacting grocery store pricing. But I do know that the Ministry of Home Affairs, that is responsible for the cost of living, has worked with grocers to have staple goods and price reductions, which when you go to the grocery store now, you will see a tag that says this is underneath that particular initiative. That's good. We want to see an expansion of items as it pertains to those items that they have provided 20% reductions on. And this is what we have to do in a systemic way. We need to ensure that we continue to work with the business community to reduce the price pressures that Bermudian residents are actually experiencing.
Personally, how does that affect you when you see on some of the blogs and you see Bermuda's expensive, the prices, and how does that affect you as the minister?
And so in 2024, I put out an economic development strategy, and that was to increase economic growth and development in the country. When I'm looking at what we're doing when we revise that strategy in 2027, that strategy has to have the word sustainable in it. It has to be a sustainable economic development strategy and an inclusive economic development strategy. What that means, it means that the residents and people of Bermuda are directly benefiting from the policies that we put in place and the expansion of our economy. It makes no sense for our economy to be running away from the people who are supposed to be living in the very sad economy. And so it means nothing for us. We have already demonstrated that we can have periods of strong economic growth. We've demonstrated that the government can be fiscally competent. Now we need to demonstrate more meaningfully to the people of Bermuda that whatever they see the progress within the economy, that they're directly benefiting from that particular progress. But there's always this pull and push. And so the success of some industries means that there is an ability to pay for goods above and beyond what persons would normally pay for goods. And so, like, if you see a loaf of bread in the grocery store, if it increased to $10, there should be some level of rebellion from the market that says we're not purchasing at that level. But because people have favorable income, people are still purchasing at the higher price points, which doesn't lead to an incentive of those price points coming down. And this is where we have to start talking about how we can put government intervention in the system so that we alleviate some of the pressures on households. What we want to do is we want to have a sustainable Bermuda where we see our residents empowered and thriving.
Good stuff, Minister. Back to our charts. The Islands hotels hosted 67,000, close to 68,000 air visitors. I don't see the numbers on cruise, but that's coming from a different ministry. But has there been an increase or has it been a decrease over year?
So that's a year-over-year increase, but the reason why I specifically speak about air visitors is because they have a greater economic impact than cruise visitors. They actually consume more goods and services in our domestic economy, and that's why I speak about air visitors. But our air visitors have grown year-over-year, and with the opening of Fairmont Southampton, slated for sometime this year, you're going to see that number increase as well, and the performance of our tourism sector actually increase. As I explained it earlier, Fairmont Southampton is actually an economic hub, which means goods and services supplied for the operation of Fairmont Southampton, the ability to attract greater levels of tourists, roughly around 55,000 tourists annually, the ability to attract conferences to our shores, greater levels of external promotion, employing Bermudians, and then we have to look at the induced and indirect impact, which means the wages and salaries paid to the employees that work in that establishment, how it goes back into our domestic economy. And so there are a number of things that we should be optimistic about regarding the opening of that hotel.
It's been 6 years closed, 5 to 6 years closed. It's been a big miss in Bermuda. You agree?
It's certainly been a big miss, and if we look at the tourism contribution to GDP, tourism contribution to GDP is under 5%, when it was roughly around 7 or 8% in the past. And so you see where tourism is is less significant to the overall stability of the economy. That's not a good thing. It means that our economy is less diverse with a contracting tourism sector. And Fairmont Southampton offers us that opportunity to have that level of economic diversification that we require. And then we'd be optimistic when we hear about the clearance of Elbow Beach and that reopening as well. And so, am I currently pleased with our current state of affairs? From a resilient and stability standpoint, yes, because we've been able to have economic progress in the economy, notwithstanding the closure of that particular property. And now we're optimistic with the opening of that property and what it can offer to the people of Bermuda and our domestic economy.
To your understanding, are they on time in opening, or do we foresee a slight setback?
I believe that there was a report released from the developers, and so whatever the developers say, I have no reason to believe that what they said in that report is not accurate.
What does the numbers look like for Bermudians entering into that particular hotel?
So we're working directly with the hotel as it pertains to ensuring that suitably qualified Bermudians are offered opportunities. I've asked them to do a initial job adverts so that we can get to the supply of labor that is prepared to move to that particular establishment. They've done that particular exercise. Notwithstanding that, they are still short hundreds of jobs that they actually need. So what we're doing from a workforce development standpoint is we'll be offering short-term training and development opportunities to better position persons to take advantage of opportunities in that particular sector, and on the long term, see what type of sustainable hospitality training can actually take place, so that we always have cohorts of individuals who are trained in hospitality that can work part-time in that sector or full-time if they desire.
What might you say to our young people? Because the hotel used to be an open door to get into the employment market. What would you say to the young people of Bermuda that has been affected mainly by unemployment numbers?
And so I'll say that hospitality careers vary. There are a vast array of jobs in the hospitality sector. There are a vast array of jobs in a hotel establishment. And so the opportunities are somewhat endless. I'll ask them to do their homework as it pertains to having a better understanding, and that's something that we can do from a workforce development standpoint. Have individuals better understand all of the job opportunities that exist, the experience that is required, the education that is required, but then where they can also receive assistance to get on that pathway to obtaining that particular job. And that is something that we're happy to facilitate from a government standpoint.
In your stats here, government expenditure consumption decreased by 3.8%. Is that alarming?
It's not alarming because I indicated that there was a disruption with the budget in 2025 due to the election being in February, which would have normally been budgetary time. And so we didn't get a new budget until June. And I think that government departments were being conservative until they got new budget numbers. And as a result of that, government spending slowed down.
Good stuff. Business investment rose 5.1%, 222 million gross capital formation. What does that mean?
It means that there's a level of business confidence in our economy. Construction activity is picking up, as well as investment in industrial resources, which leads to greater levels of business development.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, that's definitely a good sign.
Confidence.
Yeah, because naturally you're going to see an increase in jobs in the sectors related to the machinery and equipment that was brought in, as well as us having a greater level of construction activity means we're developing the infrastructure for greater levels of economic activity.
Where is some of the new growth in the business market in Bermuda? I know we still have the insurance, the capital insurance, the exam companies. Where is in that field the growth or expenditure?
I released the 2024 numbers. We saw that the international business sector grew. We saw that information, communication, and technologists actually expanded. We saw expansion in healthcare services as well. And so those were some key sectors that actually expanded. There will continue expansion in real estate activities, which is the second largest sector in our economy. And so there is diversified growth within the economy, because what we saw is we saw the vast majority of 19 industrial sections actually increasing. And so the growth is not just concentrated in international businesses, it's actually happening in other sectors within the economy. But what you will find is that the Ministry of Economy and Labor is currently working with BEDC to produce a national entrepreneurship strategy. That strategy would be a strategy we put in place to better support small and medium-sized local businesses and make sure that they have the wraparound services that they need, make sure they have the resources so that they can succeed, and then we can help them through their entrepreneurial journey. And we recognize that if you provide the direct interventions to a company early in the development stage, they have a greater likelihood of succeeding.
Minister, overall, are you pleased going into 2026 in the state of the economy?
Most definitely. Certainly, the economic numbers I put out today wasn't the most welcoming, but we expected that the economy will have an uptick in the second and third and fourth quarters of 2025. I'm glad where we are currently positioned. From a fiscal standpoint, the government is in a strong position where we are going to be running ongoing budget surpluses, and then we can begin to pay down some of our debt. But from how we're currently poised, we're in a very positive space. Where we do have negative headwinds is affordability in Bermuda, housing, healthcare, utilities, and food. Mm-hmm. And those will be the areas of priority.
Top priority.
Top priority.
Good stuff. Something just left my train of thought. What does the forecast look like for this year?
Well, the Ministry of Economy and Labor is responsible for reporting the facts. The Ministry of Finance is the ministry that actually does economic forecasts.
Okay. I don't know what else, if you want to add anything else. Employment for our young people. What is the facility training and labor? What is in the makings for plans to help our young people? Because they're still the number one, and that's my greatest concern is our young people. To get them working, to get them from that idle thinking and challenge them. How are we going to fix that?
We are increasing opportunities for our young people. So as you see job expansion in Bermuda, it means more job opportunities for our young people. But we also see an increase in investment in our young people, whether it be internships, whether it be scholarships, whether it be mentorships. There is increased investment and opportunities presented to our young people, more opportunities than ever before in our history. And so year over year, we increase scholarship funding and funding to better support the development of our young people. But we want to ensure that all that investment translates into meaningful job opportunities. And then once they get in the workplace, how they progress through the workplace. And so you will find that the Ministry of Economy and Labor will be looking at a number of things this year. Number one, pay transparency. So our young people have a better understanding of what pay package their counterparts are receiving within the workplace. We are also looking at how we can encourage employers to retain older persons within the workplace, because our population is aging and there's going to be a need to retain a more senior population as best as we possibly can in the workplace. We will also be looking to ensure that we continue to refine our immigration policies. I believe they are work to our benefit right now. We've done a lot of work as it pertains to immigration to clarify our policies, to ensure that people are informed of the do's and don'ts, and to strengthen our compliance provisions underneath that framework.
You just made mention, and this is what came to mind. As a young person, you would hear you say to retain the seniors. At the same time, that stops the young person from coming in and getting the position. Sounds like a double-edged sword. How do you comfort them and still keep the senior worker from relying on financial assistance or government or utilizing the pension? That's
a good question. And what I'll say is I was part of working group that was responsible for looking at increasing the retirement age, not under the PLP government, but under the OBA government when I was the president of the union. And what we done is we looked at every study as it pertains to increases in retirement age to see the adverse relationship it would have on the young people entering the workforce. And every study showed that there is not a one-to-one relationship. There is not a senior that goes out of the workforce and it creates an opportunity for a young person to come in. And retaining a more senior employee doesn't mean that it blocks job opportunities. Right now, we have more jobs in Bermuda than able-bodied Bermudians. And as a result, there is ample opportunities for our young persons.
Good stuff.
Where I do accept this, we need to ensure that our young people are prepared to take advantage of those opportunities.
So the more seniors than young people coming in.
Correct. And there are more seniors leaving on an annual basis than ever before because our population is aged. We are now in the year 2026. For the last 10 years, we said a quarter of our population will be seniors in the year 2026. And we now heard, and a quarter of our population have reached that age category. But we will be running a census this year, and the census will give us all the information that we require to have a better understanding of Bermuda's demographics.
So the census is coming.
Most definitely.
Good stuff. First time in years.
First time in a decade.
Whoa.
The last census was 2016. The census will be 2026. Census day is May 20th.
What are you looking to achieve? And what does the census, what are you looking to achieve in doing a census?
The census will give us
population,
the accurate population number, because right now we're running off projections. The census will give us the number of persons that have emigrated. The census will give us the makeup of our population from race, sex, religious standpoint, and all those other factors. The census will have to give us a better understanding of household compositions in Bermuda as well. It will give us an understanding of educational attainment of our population. And so the census gives us very sound data as it pertains to where we are as a country.
Does this include, I guess, records?
Yes. Everybody who is resident in Bermuda on census day is included in our census.
Tell the diverse population of guest workers we have in Bermuda.
Yeah, it will give us an accurate picture of where we are versus where we were in 2016, and also the shift in our guest worker population from 2016 to 2026.
Good stuff, Minister. Sounds like you got your hands busy.
Yeah.
Anything before we conclude you might want to add, alter, or edit before we conclude?
No, just certainly I'm optimistic in terms of the workflow of what we've been able to achieve in 2025. This ministry put out an end-of-year report. That end-of-year report speaks to all of the meaningful work we've done on behalf of the people of Bermuda. And we'll continue that workflow into 2026 and build off of that particular momentum that we've created over the years. This ministry is a ministry that ensures that we have an economy that is actually thriving, but also working for the people of Bermuda.
Lastly, because this just came to mind, passports. The length of time, are we seeing it shortening? Any thought of bringing back the passports to, I'm not sure if that's ever going to happen because the British government has revamped and changed a lot of things. What does the passport time process
have been brought back down to for renewals 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
For new passports 6 to 8 weeks, and it is our desire to print our passports
like it used
domestically,
to be. Like it used to be
outside of our control, and so we continue to advocate for that. But there is security risk that the UK government have found with the printing of passports externally, and some countries doing some undesirable things with passport printing, and so as a result of that, the innocent is suffering from the guilty, because we've always had a very strict and robust system as it pertains to how we issue passports.
Minister, thank you for the latest update. We want to thank you, Bermuda, for joining us. State of Affairs Wanderer with the Minister of Economy and Labor, the Honorable Jason Hayward. Thank you, Minister. We'll see you, I don't know, but looking at next month's budget, is it?
Yeah, so maybe we'll catch up right before
budget?
The budget period, yeah.
Talking about the expectation.
Certainly we're talking about expectations.
Minister, thank you again.
Yes.
Bermuda, thank you. Have a safe day. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. I advocate for against that behavior. Please don't drink and drive. Slow down. It's wet outside. Use a little bit of care and courtesy on the roads. Have a good day.